hello everyone. Having another go now. We couldn't unmute. Welcome to everybody, all the participants from all over the world. Big welcome from the Buddhist Society here in London to Venerable Dhammasami from Shan State Buddhist University, who will be talking. This is our fourth in the series on Abhidhamma, and I should just say how very grateful we are, just halfway through the title, but say how very grateful we are that Venerable Dhammasami is prepared to give this time to this most important of subjects. And today we are on lesson 4, which is mindfulness, wisdom, compassion in the wholesome Cetasikas. So it's a really, really important part of the course. And I hope you've all had a look at your homework and you're ready to go, primed and ready to go. So without any more time, I'm passed over to Venerable Dhammasami. Thank you so much for your talks.
Thank you, Chairman Desmond. The introduction, especially from you, as the president of the society and also as a psychiatrist, is very much appreciated. Now, as usual, shall we begin our lesson by reciting Namo Tassa in homage of the Buddha. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. As you already know, we continue with the study of Cetasika, 52 Cetasika. Today is the last lesson on the Cetasika mental factors. Today we focus on the beautiful one. The text called them beautiful Cetasika, meaning wholesome Cetasika. As I mentioned at the end of last week, that you should at least familiarize yourself with the list, which is 24. Okay, there's 24 on the 25 on the list. 25 beautiful mental factors or Cetasikas. Among the 25, I'm going to focus or emphasize on mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. I try to relate the Cetasika to you. What you hear every day, the word like mindfulness, the expression like wisdom, compassion, they are part of Cetasika. And they are wholesome ones, beautiful ones. Beautiful in Pali is called sobana. That's direct translation. It's similar to the word that we use in Thai, kuson, in Burmese, kuto, in Sinhala, kusala. So being wholesome, being skillful in a sense, it creates peace, harmony, understanding. Okay, these qualities, they help us promote a peaceful, harmonious, and understanding society. So you can see how these factors, mindfulness, compassion, wisdom, are relevant to psychology, that is our state of mind, and also morality, which is our ethical behaviors. with this, I'd like to bring you back to the diagram that I started last week. The diagram by Professor Paul Gilbert from Derby University in England, a clinical psychologist. His diagram has a good relationship to Buddhist psychology and Abhidhamma. But by saying this, I'm not making a statement that everything what he says and everything what I understand from Abhidhamma are the same. Okay, because we look at a big picture. A big picture on our part is about, yes, you can look at this one. A big picture on our part is more than understanding emotion. It's about purifying emotion. You know, Professor Paul Gilbert doesn't talk about purification. We talk about purification. He talks about relieving suffering. Of course, we talk about overcoming suffering as well. But we take it in a sociological sense, okay, like we use the word liberation and that sort of thing, in a religious sense sometimes. So if you can see these three focuses, or three systems of focus, if I may start the repetition, the first one, the bottom one is threat focus. That's when we are in fight and flight mode. Okay, when we are looking for protection, when we don't feel secure, when we feel threatened, as a result, we are looking for safety seeking. What Professor Gilbert agrees with Buddhist psychology and Abhidhamma, or the whole Buddhist philosophical system, is that this threat focus, although the intention is very well meaning, okay, is very good because we need protection, we need safety. But most of the time, we overdo it and we can't shake it off easily. As a result, it becomes inhibiting, meaning it hinders. Okay, it hinders our thinking. Not just clinical psychologists like him, but neurologists, many neurologists who studied this subject also agree that at that moment, when our brain is working with the amygdala, that is at the back of our brain. At that moment, our judgment, our decision-making ability is inhibited, is hindered. Okay, we make wrong decisions, we make mistakes. Okay, sometimes as a driver, you take the wrong turn, you make wrong judgments. As a sports person, you make a wrong judgment when to assessate your effort, your energy, and when to slow down, when you should keep in preservation mode, when you should be observing. You make mistake when your amygdala is so active. And in the Cetasikas, we call this dosa, and we study a group of 4 working in the dosa group, in the anger group or in the fear group. Fear also includes in its extreme function, it includes hatred like that. It can begin with something like irritation, agitation, aversion. So this is threat focus. One thing that I didn't mention, I'd like to mention today, just by passing, because we have not studied matter, we have not studied material, okay, rupa, we have not studied this. This, what I'm going to say, relates to material, how the mind and the body, okay, work together. So in the threat focus, the hormone that we produce is cortisol hormone. We all know this. It's stress producing. So if we feel stressful, we need to check our mind. How we should check it? Now today we talk about mindfulness. We should use mindfulness to check it. We should practice, we should develop an awareness practice, a habit of awareness, just to check our aversion, just to check our fear, our agitation, just to check that. If we don't check that, we will be overwhelmed by this threat focus. Okay, threat focus system, both in the mind and also in the brain. In the brain, not just in the brain, in our biological, the whole biological system, like the cortisol hormone. So Paul Gilbert talks about, he talks about anger, anxiety, disgust, and I have added quite a few last week and also now. The second one, incentive focus or resource focus. This is, we do something, when we do something because we want something. Okay, we're incented to do something. So we are going after resources. We want resources. So when we want them, when we want the resources, and then we pursue them, we make effort. Of course, if we keep making effort, we achieve them. We consume, we make use of the resources that we have. Look, okay, how the last century and up to now have become, okay, how we have become consumers, how consumerism pervades every aspect of our life. So this is, I mentioned last week, this is lobha, and we have three in that. Not just wanting material things, but wanting maybe to propagate an idea, to dominate other people with our idea, with our belief, with our belief. Say if two people, they both prefer different songs and different types of music, and look, if they try to convince each other, look at their behavior. That's kind of incentive focus. Okay, people feel very driven, and they feel that they live for that vitality. They feel they live for that. Okay, they are very active. They are always excited talking about what they want. And here, as you may notice last week, Lobha operates with Ditti. Ditti means wrong view. When you want to convince somebody about your idea, and you hold on that idea from self-centered point of view, that's where we say incentive or resource focus. People who want money, who want fame, who want recognition, who want a large following, or maybe who want some of the most expensive cars, for example. You can look at their behavior from this. Today, our focus is not wanting and affiliative focus, this one. This is the when the hippocampus area of the brain is working. Okay. In terms of physiology, in terms of biology, people say this is where oxytocin hormone is produced. Affiliative focus means you feel connected. You feel connected with the people. You feel connected with their pain, with their problem. Okay. In the middle of a pandemic like this, if we don't feel connected with the pain of the people, instead, if we focus more on our ideas, how things should be done, very often you come back to threat focus. That is why in the clinical psychological point of view, Professor Gilbert, he has the arrow going both ways. From affiliative focus, you can return to threat focus. From threat focus, you can return to affiliative focus. It's about getting balance in that system. But as far as the Buddhist view, Buddhist psychology of philosophy, psychology of philosophy is concerned, we believe that if we put enough effort, we can do away with threat focus, we can do away with incentive focus, or we can reduce them to the minimal. And we can ensure that non-wanting and affiliative focus dominates. Non-wanting or affiliative focus, how do we become affiliative to other human beings? Forget about strangers. Sometimes with our family members, our friends, our colleagues, we are not on the same wavelength. We are not on the same page. When we are not on the same page, we actually feel threatened by each other. You feel threatened that your idea may be rejected, that their idea, might be imposed on you, something like that. If that happens, even if you are related through blood, you're not going to be not going to be able to connect with each other. That is why we talk about wisdom and compassion. Wisdom in which sense? Wisdom in a sense of understanding problem as a universal, as transcending, transcending family, transcending community, transcending nationality, transcending national borders, transcending colors, social status. To understand a problem in that way is called wisdom. Okay, is called wisdom. This to understand problems as being universal, the universality of the problem. In other words, when we talk about a problem of a community, a problem of a country, it may be health, it may be education, it may be psychology, it may be mindset, it may be culture, it may be economy, whatever we say, whatever we talk about. If we personalize it and we think this problem is unique to us, it's unique to us, and we are not closer to wisdom, okay, because we don't recognize the common humanity. Common humanity means, okay, now this pandemic affects every nation. Some people, they don't even recognize that this problem is there. They think it's a hoax. Whatever their belief, whatever their view, if we see that those people, they are as affected by this problem as we are, then we have a higher level of tolerance towards those people. Emotionally, we are not that easily shaken, meaning we have more resilience. So this is wisdom. This is wisdom. People can't go to work. Some people they even lost their job. In many countries, students in a country return to school. Life becomes life. Okay, has to get used to new normal. Okay, new type of normality. If we forget that this problem affects people we know and people we don't know, everyone, we actually we can end up in the threat focus system and behave in a way that is unwholesome. That is unwholesome. So when we have wisdom, meaning when we see a problem as common humanity, at that moment, it's a lot easier to relate to people emotionally. Wisdom is not about emotion, it's about being rational, it's about intellectual understanding. Okay, it's about having the right attitude. But when we talk about compassion, this is about emotion. Is emotion intelligent in a sense? Is part of wisdom. In Theravada Buddhism, we consider compassion as part of wisdom in the Noble Eightfold Path. When we talk about compassion, then we need to be able to relate to our own pain, other people's pain. We need to be able to connect our pain with their pain with our pain. Sometimes the color, nationality, social status, different belief system, they come in between and we can't connect. We can't connect. You can try this, okay. If you look at news websites like the BBC, the CNN, NBA, whatever, if you look at that website, if you read the news, you read about the COVID-19, the coronavirus. You read about different regions of the world. Europe, okay, the United Kingdom, and now, okay, Brexit has happened. Now we are not part of the EU anymore, officially. Although in some way we are still related. If you look at the surges in the coronavirus cases in the continent and in the UK, if you feel the same pain, now your compassion is working. But if you're more interested in the UK, you feel the pain of those affected. But when you look at the news from Europe, if you don't feel the pain as much, this will affect, this will damage your compassion level. Because the affiliated focus is not working properly. Okay, your connection with the pain in Europe is not strong. This can be applied, okay, between India and Pakistan, between India and China. And in the United States, between different states. Some may be governed by Democrat governors, some Republican governors. If you don't feel the pain in equal terms, but you feel the pain of those people who share your ideology only, your affiliated system is not working. You will go into the threat focus. You feel threatened by the people who don't share your ability, your ideology, your way of thinking, your way of working. You're professional, you're going to feel threatened by those people. When you feel threatened by those people, that will hinder your judgment. Okay, that will hinder your judgment. That is why when we feel affiliated, that's compassion. When we feel affiliated, with those people pain, those people's problem, those people's sadness, their losses, when we feel affiliated with them, actually we feel safe. We don't feel threatened. That's the nature of kindness. That's the nature of compassion. the nature of compassion. And in that moment, because you don't feel threatened, you don't excessively, trying to acquire resources just to protect yourself, just to ensure that you feel safe. You don't do that anymore. That's what we call non-wanting. Non-wanting in the Cetasika, 25 beautiful Cetasika, is called Alobha. Alobha is non-greed. That means generosity. So you are generous towards people when you feel affiliated to their pain. You see, the Buddha always talks about problem. The word problem is called dukkha. He formulates the Four Noble Truths, the central philosophy, his central philosophy, around dukkha, around problem, understanding problem. So in understanding problem, I have just described at two levels. Intellectual level and emotional level. Intellectual level, we call this wisdom. Emotional level, we call this compassion. They are beautiful. But in order to develop compassion and wisdom, what we need is we need to be aware of the present moment, what happens in our body, in our mind, what happens in the world, what happened with our neighbors, what happened with the employees, the underprivileged, what happened to them. It's about being aware of them. This is mindfulness. So, in that sense, you can see the diagram: content, safe, and connected. That's the emotion that you get. You feel contented. You also feel safe. You also feel safe. Why? Because you feel connected. As the mother, maybe human being, maybe animal mother, they themselves may be hungry, but if their baby is hungry at the same time, they would feed their baby first, because they can connect with the pain of hunger in their baby. The baby may not be able to connect with the mother's hunger, but the mother can connect with her baby's hunger. Because of that, the mother feels very safe at that time and also contented. One word in the diagram, in the circle, is called soothing. That means, it removes your stress. It removes your confusion. With this, we are going to look at the next slide, which is the factor. Now, you have got an overview of the three circles, and I have described in brief mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. Where do you find mindfulness? Is the second one, number 29. And where is wisdom? Wisdom, the last one, is called non-delusion. That's wisdom. Where is compassion? Number 50. So I extract those three to give you an overview of beautiful Cetasika. We all need this, not just Buddhist monks. Not just Buddhist monks. Doctors, engineers, nurses, patients, politicians, business people, employers, employee managers, and their colleagues. Everybody needs those three. In the workplace, when there's a problem, if you can connect with the pain of everyone related to that problem, and you will start feeling threatened, and you are not as forthcoming as you should be anymore. You're not very creative in solving problem. Instead, you become self-centered. Self-centered. So that kind of behavior is not helpful, okay, in the workplace. If we look at the list of 25, I have explained about mainly 3 of them. We are going to start with the first one, faith. Okay. This is a sense of self-assurance. You feel self-assured. Of course, what we talk about having confidence in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, and in the Sangha. In the Dhamma, in the sense that, we as a human being, we can develop our mind to understand problem, to develop wisdom and compassion. And this is about belief in Dhamma. Okay, we are not talking about books. Okay, books are just a container. Books. Buddhist texts, they are just containers. Okay, when we talk about the Dhamma, and the teaching of the Buddha, we talk about the Buddha's philosophy, a philosophy that says that a human being can develop self-reliance and solve problems. And if many individuals do that, that society, will be very liberating, very peaceful, harmonious. So that's what we say, believe in the Dhamma. We go to the extent that we can purify our mind, we can eradicate the threat focus and the incentive focus, and then consolidate the affiliated focus. So, to have a belief in this is called faith. It's a sense of self-reassurance, as I mentioned earlier. Mindfulness I've already explained, and then shame and fear of wrongdoing. These two I have already explained in the unwholesome one. Lack of shame and lack of fear. Of course, the opposite of these two I explained last week. And this way, we have the opposite. Shame means, when you refrain from doing anything unwholesome, anything negative, because of self-respect, you respect yourself. Fear of wrongdoing, this means when you refrain from doing something bad, something immoral, something corrupt, because you respect the society, because you respect others. The commentary gives an example. Maybe a piece of iron, a bar of iron, an iron bar. One is cold, one is hot. One is red hot, One is very cold, but the cold one is dirty. It's dirty with cow dung, with something else. You don't touch it, although it's not as dangerous as the hot one. You don't touch it because you respect yourself, because you feel disgusted, because it's disgusting. So you don't do that. So out of self-respect, if you avoid any untoward behavior, seeming behavior, unbefitting behavior, this is called to have shame. Is a beautiful Cetasika. These two, I mentioned last week, shame and fear of wrong, these two together, in popular term we can call them conscience. We have our conscience. But here in the Cetasika and Abhidhamma Cetasika, we divide them into two. One, you have conscience because one is you believe this is wrong and you respect yourself, you don't do that. The other one is you believe it's wrong and it's going to affect other people. You fear the consequences for other people. So these two together, the Buddha said, they are the guardian of the world, the guardian of the moral world, the guardian. Without these two, we don't have guardians. We need to promote conscience in the children, among ourselves, in the literature, in the culture. We should promote them. And you have non-greed and non-hatred. They are quite easy to understand. Non-greed, in a sense of generosity, being generous. In a sense of being able to let go, feeling safe to share. Some people they feel threatened and they don't share. They feel threatened, or they fear that they may not have enough, so they don't want to share. So in the minds of generous people, there is secure feeling. Secure feeling. There is contentment. They are not resource seeking or running after resources. Instead, they share what they have. Non-hatred or non-anger, this is about non-threat system. If we look at from the three-circle diagram, this is about non-threat focus. The word that we are all familiar with is metta or maitri. Metta or maitri, loving kindness. But the word loving kindness is used here as non-hatred. Sometimes I translate it as non-anger. Why metta or loving kindness is mentioned as non-anger, non-hatred? Well, this is to show us that anger management is very important. If we are agitated, if we feel resentful, if we get angry often, forget about metta, forget about loving kindness. Among the many aspects of metta, among the many aspects of loving kindness, non-anger or managing our anger is very, very important. I would say it's the foundation. The foundation, according to the analysis of Abhidhamma. Sometimes we justify our anger. It's something like you justifying the stupidity of somebody and you burn yourself. You burn yourself with fire. It's not a wise solution. That is why the Buddha said, if you want to solve a problem, first manage your anger. We know when we get angry or when we resent as somebody's behavior, somebody's attitude towards us, we can see how we are no longer affiliated, connected to that person. It's quite easy to see this. And the next one is neutrality of mind. This is sometimes called equanimity or upekkha. I should say here that upekkha is not about ignoring. It's not about ignoring somebody's pain. Unfortunately, the word upekkha is understood in Burmese, Thai, Sri Lankan culture as ignoring or giving up. No, it doesn't mean that. It means a balanced state of mind. Okay, you still feel connected, but emotionally, intellectually, you are balanced at that time. You are not shaken. This is to say, the mind is free from biases. The mind is free from being inhibited, being hindered by hindrances. This requires a very high state of concentration to reach neutrality of the mind. After that, you're going to have 12 Cetasikas. Group them into 6 pairs, okay? You can read the tranquility of mental body, tranquility of consciousness. First is tranquility, then lightness, then malleability, willingness, proficiency, rectitude. Six qualities. Tranquility is about being composed. Okay. Here, mental body means feeling, vedana, perception, sanya, and the other Cetasika. The rest of the Cetasika. So being calm. Being calm. Sometimes we have compassion, but our compassion is not very calm. It's very restless. Not very composed. Yes, it's true, some mothers, because they are very dedicated, they're very loving. There's no doubt about that. But this factor is missing, tranquility, okay? That love is not very calm, not very composed. So composure. Another one, lightness. Okay. This one is about, the opposite of feeling sluggish. It's about being buoyant. Lightness, mudita. The third one is mudita. Earlier is lahuta, now this is mudita. This one is about being plastic. Plastic means being flexible, not rigid. Sometimes we have a bit of wisdom, but our wisdom is hindered by not having this one, this Cetasika, not having flexibility. But we are very rigid. We may be able to see the problem in the right way to a certain extent, but then we are rigid, we are not open to other people's opinion. So we become so self-centered with our own ideas, our own way of doing things. One of my experiences, okay, with the other monks, sometimes senior to me, sometimes junior to me. One day, one senior monk, when we were having lunch, he wanted to have fruit first. In both the East and the West, people usually have fruit later. But this teacher, this meditation teacher, he is in his 80s, he wanted to have fruit first before he has his main course. And one other monk, who is not his pupil, he said, no, have this one first. Main course first, not fruit first. Different approaches to eating. People have their own preferences. If you think your way of eating is the right one, and you're going to be judging other people, who don't share your approach. Who don't share your approach. So people fight all the time in politics, in academics, at work, in the boardroom, even between husband and wife, because people have different ideas. And when they don't have this this factor, which is being plastic, it's called plasticity. We talk about neuroplasticity this day, that our brain is not rigid, it's changeable, it can be changed. People have discovered this some 20 years ago. So in the beautiful qualities of the mind, this is rather important. The fourth group, or the fourth pair, is wildness. Wildness. This means, it's about workableness, it's about serviceable. Serviceable means it's about being ready to work. It's about being ready to work. Is functionable, is workable. The fifth one is clear. It's called proficiency. Proficiency of the mind as a quality of the mind. And the last one is straightforwardness. Rectitude means being straightforward. The absence of twist and turn in the mind is quite straightforward. The mind is not easily deflected. And we can call this being straightforward, being honest, being open, all those. These 6 pairs of Cetasika qualities, and with the other, altogether 19 of them, we call them beautiful universal, meaning in everything beautiful, in everything wholesome, they are there. They are there. Let's look at the next 6. The first one is 3 abstinences. The 3 abstinences, they are the first the first 2. Right speech and right action. They are precepts. If you talk about 5 precepts, they are the first 2. Right speech, that's not telling a lie, but to tell the truth, to say something beneficial. That's right speech. Right action is not harming people, not taking anything, not giving. They don't give us. And not to behave wrongly in sexual behavior, sexual intercourse. And the last one is intoxication. So they are right action. You can see that Buddhism looks at the precepts not as commandment of the divine, not divine commandment that you must do, but it looks at the 5 training, the training of the 5 precepts as the quality of the mind. Right speech, right action. Behind those right speech and right action, you see Cetasikas, qualities. And then you have 2 unlimitable qualities, compassion and appreciative joy. Actually, there are 4 of them, 4 Brahma Vihara, 4 divine qualities. Where are the other 2? The other 2, one of them is non-hatred, the other is neutrality of the mind. So if you compare this, if you combine with those 2, altogether they make 4 Brahma Vihara, the divine qualities, metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. These are the Pali word we are quite familiar with. Unlimited, why? There's no limit. This one is about emotional quality, that we can extend this positive emotion to everyone, even to the people who disagree with us, who belong to the other side, who have nothing to share with us, who may even be talking, in a harmful way to us. The Buddha said it's possible, the mind has this capacity to expand, to include them, or to relate to them, to feel affiliated to them. If you do so, as you have seen in the 3 circles, you feel safe, you don't feel threatened by them. Otherwise, if you feel threatened by the people who speak negatively about you, then first you need to look at your mind. Where is your mind? Is your mind in the focus system? Then you need to bring in mindfulness to work on that insecure mind. Compassion. I mentioned earlier, I explained quite a bit earlier how wisdom and compassion are related. Wisdom is about understanding the pain being universal, affecting them and us. And compassion is about relating to that pain emotionally. Appreciative joy, this one, scientists, no, they have not studied very much. It's called mudita. They talk about gratitude, exercise gratitude. In positive psychology these days, they talk about this. Gratitude, appreciation. But the Buddha would say, appreciative joy. Okay, first you appreciate your own effort, your hard work, your achievement. Then you expand this to include as many as possible. Along the way, you break down the barriers. So if you can appreciate one thing in the people you think are your opponent, in the people who don't share with your belief, who don't share with your culture, if you have an appreciation of some aspect of their life, or if what they do makes sense, at least makes sense to you, then you're not as threatened. You don't feel as threatened by them anymore. We can talk about coexistence. I would say that this appreciative joy also produces oxytocin hormone. As a result, you feel safe. And this is also affiliative focus. It belongs to affiliative focus, not just compassion, but also this one. I think I have explained quite a bit. Let's go to the last slide, Lavinia. Okay. This is about application, okay, application of the Cetasika. This diagram is from Tara Prash, an American Buddhist and psychologist. She has her own website. Okay, Tara Prash. Prash is B-R-A-C-H. She talks about how people respond, okay, to the COVID virus. You can see the 3 zones: fear zone, learning zone, and growth zone. 3 zones. In the fear zone, what do we do? This is our behavior, okay, how people do. So people search and share everything they can find about COVID. They send it to their friend. Look at this. Okay, they want to share everything. Whenever they see it, meaning they are in a sense in fear, they get very irritated easily, and they do a lot of panic buying. Maybe toilet roll, maybe food, maybe many things. Okay. So people in the fear zone, in the fear mode, in Paul Gilbert's 3 circle, this is about threat focus. In the Cetasika, this is about dosa. We talk about the 4 dosa, okay. Forget about the COVID-19, say tomorrow, I wish, okay. Tomorrow, if the COVID-19 is over, many people will still live in fear zone. If not for the old virus, if not for the new viruses, they might feel threatened by other people at work, by their neighbor having a nice car, by somebody dressing up very smart. They might feel threatened by them. By somebody getting promotion, getting elected, okay, they might just feel threatened by those people. So this is fear zone. When in that situation, what do? You victimize yourself. It's a besiege system, besiege mentality. So you look to blame, you seek to blame other people. So a lot of complaint, a lot of negative speaking, a lot of negative posts, okay, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a lot of negative comments like that. What we need then, we need mindfulness. We need to bring mindfulness to look at our emotional reaction, where we are, which zone. Is it fear zone? Is it in the threat focus? Is it in the four dosa group of Cetasika? Dosa is Macharya Gokucha. Is it in that group? So if we bring mindfulness, now mindfulness belongs to the beautiful group of Cetasika. If we bring mindfulness will put some gradual break to the fear. So fear would not be spinning and spinning. Instead, you would put a brake on the fear, and the fear will start lessening, decreasing. So in that reflective mode, okay, now you start having some calm moment. You will still have some fear, so sometimes you go into the fear zone, but now you also come out of that and you are in the learning zone. In the learning zone, what you do then is you start having mindfulness, you start having awareness. You are able to check your own behavior, not just emotionally, but what you buy, what you say. Okay. Something that can harm your own psychological status, something that can harm other people, like negative talks, negative comments. Yeah. One diplomat recounted to me, okay, at that time he was in Japan, when a nuclear electricity plant, okay, was hit by a tsunami, and the water in that town became polluted, and people had to import water from other parts of Japan. So people had to queue in the supermarket for water. And no one put up notices, okay, how to behave and how much you should buy. And you shouldn't buy more than this, more than that, more than which amount of bottled water. There were no notices. People queue, and when they got into the supermarket, they bought only one bottle. Meaning, they felt so connected with everyone in the town and everyone in the queue. Okay. With only one bottle of water, they feel safe. Is it enough? Not enough. But why you feel safe? Because you feel connected with the pain of everyone. So there's no there was no panic buying. In that, if you're in that situation, you already moved to the growth zone. Okay, you already moved to the growth zone. You feel connected with everyone, and you appreciate everyone's suffering. You appreciate everyone's patience. You appreciate the supermarket made water available. You appreciate also that the people in the queue, have the same need. You appreciate that. And that is reflected in your behavior. So you are thinking about how you can be of help, how you can contribute. So your mind is very positive in that sense. That's growth zone. This growth zone, we talk about wisdom, we talk about compassion, we talk about being calm, we talk about being composed, psychologically. We talk about workable, we talk about mind being provisioned, so we talk about those beautiful Cetasikas. I think I have spoken enough today. Any question?
Thank you very much, Bhante. That was a lovely talk. Gives us plenty to think about and reflect on, and a lot of digesting and a lot of opportunity for practice too. There are quite a few questions, and probably one of them is a very simple one from Sarah Matheson. Can you explain mental body?
Mental body is a technical term meaning three Cetasikas, three aggregates. We have 5 aggregates. One of them is material, so we take that out. So we are left only with 4 mental Cetasikas. And one of them is consciousness, which we are going to be talking next week. So we minus 2, we are left with 3 Cetasikas. One of them is feeling, Vedana. The other is perception, Sanya. Both of them, they are in the universal list of Cetasikas, in the list of universal Cetasikas. So 7, okay. The last one is the other 50 Cetasika, 50. So when we talk about mental body, we mean 52 Cetasika. It's just technical term, it's a jargon, if you like.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it says here, this is from just a question from last week's lecture. And what is the difference between moha and worry?
Between?
Moha
Moha.
and worry.
Worry. Worry is called dosa, okay. Worry is anxiety is the same. But we worry, okay, because we don't see this situation properly. We don't see the problem, we don't accept it. Because of that, okay, we are consumed by anxiety, we are consumed by worry. So you can see in the worry there is moha, there is delusion, there is ignorance. If you don't mind me quoting Mrs. Roosevelt, the wife of President Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, one quote is attributed to her. She's sorry, not her. It's Einstein, the scientist. Sorry. And he said, if we accept our limits, we often go beyond them. Not accepting the problem, not accepting our limit at that time causes more worry, causes more anxiety. If we think about all the possibilities and we accept them mentally, this is the task of mindfulness. With mindfulness, what he says, he may not be using this Cetasika, but I'm interpreting Einstein from Cetasika. If we are mindful of the problem, we often find the solution. So, not just intellectually, but also emotionally. Okay, thank you.
If we're not in denial of how things are.
Exactly.
Well, this is a very good question. What is the difference between mental body and consciousness? Something that people get.
You have to combine today's lesson and next week's lesson to answer this. Can I answer this next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
How much time have we got? A few minutes?
Okay, a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, yeah.
Somebody wants to know the web address of the website for the COVID slide, the last slide you showed.
Can you find? Can you Google? Tara. Okay, Tara, Tara Brush, BRACH. Okay, you will find her. She has a lot of talks, and she also has website. You're going to find this diagram in one of them. I think Odin or Desmond, can you also share this with the people?
Yes, we can.
Thank
share
you.
that.
Thank you.
And here's one. How do we begin to address the insecure mind so that we do not feel threatened when facing aggressive speech? You have talked about it, but I still don't understand it fully.
Two parts of awareness or two parts of mindfulness. We can begin with it. First, we begin with ourselves. That's called self-awareness. We begin with our fear. Maybe dislike. Maybe when somebody talks in an aggressive way to you, you think the person doesn't give you any respect. As a result, you feel insecure of your status, your place in the society. That you might be violated by the person. So awareness of this fear, awareness of this insecurity, just to accept, okay, this is insecure feeling. Take one deep breath. Okay, this person is doing like this now. I'm feeling tense, I'm feeling insecure. That's not enough in the long run. You also need to look at insecure feeling in the person. If that person doesn't feel insecure, okay, he or she wouldn't talk to you in that way. People talk aggressively because they like to go on an offensive, being aggressive so that you don't impose anything on them, so that you become subdued. If you become subdued, if you become controlled, then they feel secure. The way they seek secure mind, security is in itself the expression of insecure feeling in them. So if you can connect with that insecure feeling, that would be the best, because you see insecure feeling as being universal in them, and in you. I hope this makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. The problem is of course, practicing it, isn't it?
No, just take 1 or 2 deep breaths and insecure feeling.
Because we don't want to feel insecure, so we try not to let ourselves be aware of it.
Yeah.
There's a very complicated question here, but I think it has to be the last one.
Okay.
And it may be too long for you to answer. And question 1, there is only 5 processes. 1, death, rebirth. 2, 5-door process. 3, mind door process. 4, jhana process. And 5, path process. When someone is thinking about Dhamma, he is in mind door process with concepts. We call this as thinking or cognitive process. One can think and be in wholesome, kushala state of mind. Then mind operates within the 33 or 34 Cetasikas. Then he falls asleep with wholesome dreams, which Cetasika don't operate in this case. It's a question, that is. Mindfulness sati is wholesome. So why cognition is dream sleep is changed in terms of Cetasika? How operates the mind in Cetasika when a person is in anesthesia? So I suppose, yes, well.
I don't think I need to give the answer. The questioner seems to have the answer, and this is a thought processes of viti chitta viti, and we have not discussed this in the 4th lesson. I don't want to be ahead of myself. Okay, I'm sure you have the answer. Thank you.
Well, I think we can probably leave it at that, as we've
Thank you.
now got to the very end of our time. Well, can I once again thank you very much and look forward to next week. Thank you.
Next week will be a lot easier. Thank you.